What's up guys, Tom here from Metalloud, and I am here to review the new album from Whitechapel called Mark of the Blade. So now, before this album even released, there was a little bit of controversy regarding some of the comments that were made on Twitter by the band, claiming that this album would have some clean vocals in it, something that Whitechapel had never done before, as well as something that would maybe feel a little bit out of place in a band that normally is into screaming their lines versus singing them. It's something that we've kind of known Whitechapel for, is the just sheer veracity of Phil Bozeman's voice, and hearing clean vocals on an album may not be what everyone is looking for. There was a little bit of back and forth and a little bit of uncertainness as far as whether or not that would actually translate on this album to having actual clean vocals, whether it was a joke or what. And I can say that this album does have clean vocals on it. However, that is not a bad thing. It actually really works on the songs that they're on, and I will get to that just a little bit later. So this album begins without any kind of intro or introductory song or anything like that, which is a little bit of a departure for the band. Most of their albums have started with some sort of intro or intro track, at least, to kind of get things started and to set the mood, and there's not any of that here. It goes right into the song called The Void, which is a song that they've already released as a single. It's actually the second single that they dropped off this album, and it's pretty straightforward as far as a Whitechapel song. It's kind of carrying over the style that they've had since the self-titled Reboot album of 2012, and it's a decent song. I like it. It's pretty fast-paced. The guitar riff is pretty gnarly, and I generally enjoy it. The only thing I find disappointing about the song is something that I've kind of criticized this band in the past for, and that's the lyrical content, which feels a bit too simplistic in the way it's delivered. It's something that's kind of suffered since that Reboot album, and at times it feels a little bit cheesy for those reasons, and for that it's not a fantastic song, but it is a very good song. I enjoy it. I like listening to it. It definitely caught my attention when they released it and got me excited for this album. So then we get to the song called Bring Me Home, and this song is definitely sure to cause some controversy. This is where you get the clean vocals that I was talking about in the beginning. And in, their entire 10-year history, we really have never heard clean vocals from this band. Even guest appearances from Chino Moreno, for instance, never manifested as clean vocals. They were still screamed. And, it works on this song. I'm actually very impressed. The song itself is very reminiscent of kind of mid to late 90s alternative metal that you might have heard, and like for instance like Mudvayne, things like that, and I actually really kind of like it. I'm still waiting for confirmation on whether this is actually Phil Bozeman doing the clean vocals. I'm inclined to say that it is, just because of the transition from the clean vocals to the screaming, which is a little bit jarring and a little bit rough, but it really is just done so well. And I think a lot of that is not just the clean vocals themselves, which actually are fantastic, but the song itself is actually extremely well done. It's very well executed as a song. I don't get any of that kind of cheesy lyricism that I'm critical of on a lot of their other songs that they've been doing, and it feels kind of sludgy. It feels like a very oppressive song, and I really kind of enjoy that, and I think the clean vocals actually enhance the song and work. And if this is a new direction that they're taking, I really commend them for that, because this is something on the album that actually does work, and I really kind of enjoyed that they did decide to not give into any kind of fan criticism, holding on to what they believe Whitechapel should be, and they're doing kind of their own thing, and I like that, that they're willing to kind of risk things and set aside expectations. Like I said, I'm still waiting on confirmation whether it is Phil Bozeman or not. I haven't heard 100%, but like I said, I'm willing to bet that it is. It sounds like him. But there is such a drastic difference between his clean vocals and his screaming, and I like that. It works. And you know, this is the first time that we're hearing it, so I'm sure if this is something that they decide to continue with, which personally I hope they do, I enjoy the way the song, I mean, it doesn't suffer or anything for it. It's not any less heavy. It doesn't become sappy or anything just because they did clean vocals on here. It feels like a Whitechapel song, and that to me is what it should be. So I definitely can see if they continue this, there being an improvement upon the clean vocals on here and those transitions, and that's something that I would definitely like to see. The rest of the album is kind of a mixed bag. There's a lot of it, what I would call experimentation on here. They definitely, like for instance, the song that I just mentioned, they really kind of were incorporating clean vocals and is a form of experimentation for the band, and they are kind of branching out. You get some of the more alternative or industrial style metal songs like A Killing Industry, which it feels something like Slipknot would have written more in their heyday, and it's not a rip-off of Slipknot, what I would call that, but it definitely, the similarities there are very evident, really can't be denied. Then you have the song Brotherhood, which is a return to the instrumental tracks for the band. Not really my thing, but it still works. Doesn't really overstay its welcome, which I enjoy, because like I said, I'm not really huge into instrumental tracks on bands that I'm normally expecting to hear some vocal work on. As well, you have the song Venomous, which contains one of the fastest riffs that I've ever heard from this band, and for that it is a fantastic song. It is really kind of fast-paced and you know, definitely not upbeat, but certainly trying a little bit more for the band. It definitely feels like they're trying on here. The closing song also contains some clean vocals on there. It's definitely not as prominent as Bring Me Home, but they're there. That song, it's okay. It's standard affair for Whitechapel. It just kind of ends up being a little bit boring in the end. And that's something that, like I said, it's kind of throughout the album. It's a mixed bag. There's a lot of songs that they really kind of tried on to branch out a little bit, and for that I definitely respect them. There's also some songs where it feels like they're just kind of treading water and giving us what we've heard before, and well, it's not bad. It's just ends up being par for the course, and in light of all these other songs that feature some sort of them just trying, it really kind of comes off as a bit boring in the end. Now, I feel personally like they really hit it out of the park with their last album, 2014's Our Endless War. I felt like that was a perfect combination of old and new. It felt like they kind of found themselves on that album versus the 2012, what I would call a reboot of the band's style, where they kind of incorporate a lot of these gent style and the things and the palm muting and everything like that goes along with it. And that album was also a little bit mixed. I don't think it's held up as well. There's definitely some songs on there I enjoyed, but I feel like Our Endless War kind of took that style, brought back some of what the aggressiveness that we knew from the band and the style that we knew from the band, and really kind of took things up a bit. That was where I kind of feel like they really kind of found their groove. And this album, it feels like they're trying to branch out from that they're trying to experiment, that they're going outside their comfort zone on here. And overall, what I would have to say about this is I don't think some of these songs are going to really hold up over time. I think there are enough on here where this album as a whole, at least, is going to, not be remembered as the best Whitechapel album, but definitely, it doesn't do anything bad. And I really don't think that this album is going to, fade over time necessarily as a whole. I think it's going to be as strong as it is now a year from now. But like I said, individually, some of these songs aren't going to hold up as well, and that's unfortunate. Even some of the songs where they experimented on a little bit, I don't think are really going to hold up. I don't think they have the staying power that some of their other songs have had. And I absolutely adore this album for trying new things, that this band is not willing to just stay still. And despite the songs that I may not enjoy on here, or at least the songs that I don't feel are going to hold up as well, the fact that they are trying to do something a little bit different and, not really caring about sticking with what, so-called fans will say, we know Whitechapel is this, and if you do anything different, then you're betraying your values of what Whitechapel should be. And for that, again, I commend them and I respect this album.